Today, freak winter weather leaves millions without power and heat in Texas, driving energy prices through the roof. Plus, a new day, a new price record shattered by Bitcoin's unrelenting climb higher as momentum builds for large corporations to embrace crypto. And finally, the explosive popularity of live audio chat app Clubhouse put a spotlight on the untapped quote-unquote social audio space and is now prompting some serious competition. I'm Kate Rogers, and this is CNBC After Hours. A mixed day on Wall Street as the Dow posts a record close. The S&P and Nasdaq both finished in negative territory after hitting all-time intraday highs earlier this morning. So that's the stock market, but everyone had their eyes glued to the energy market today. Prices of crude oil and natural gas shot up as a severe winter storm slammed the U.S., hitting Texas particularly hard and leaving millions without power and heat across the state as temperatures plunged. Brian Sullivan has been tracking the storm all day.
It has been an absolute disaster in Texas. Obviously, the whole state is under a state of disaster and emergency from the governor. Really tough down there. The storm coming in far worse than projections. That was one big part of the problem. They knew the storm was coming, maybe a little bit of snow. I don't think anybody saw the amount of cold that was coming as well. And that, of course, cold determines electricity demand. The colder it is, the more ostensibly you're going to crank that heat. And that's a big part of the problem. As we talk now, about 4 million households still have no power. Now, there are rolling blackouts, which are kind of forcibly done to try to move power around. And then there's just blackouts, which are blacked out, where basically things just do not work because they cannot work. Sort of a combination of all the things. A lot of finger pointing going on about exactly where the problem was. Sounds like the problem was kind of everywhere. You have some wind turbines, which are about 23% of Texas' generation capacity, having some issues with ice or slowing down. Of course, solar's covered up, but it's not that. Mostly it's natural gas-fired plants, some pipelines having issue, and perhaps natural gas prices just going up so fast that it's hard to buy. That's been the heck of the story here, is that wholesale or spot electricity prices, put it this way, without getting into the market, normally trade, we'll call it at about $40, and we'll just call it a unit, so per megawatt hour, call it 40. There was a trade done today at 8,750 per megawatt hour, because if you are contractually obligated to purchase electricity or provide gas or electric for your customers, you're going to do it. The House Speaker for the State Assembly has called for hearings on this. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, I believe, has called or is thinking about calling for hearings on this. They want to know exactly what happened. Yes, it is cold. And yes, there are some near record colds, but it has been this cold or close to it a couple of times in the last 100 years. Obviously, there's some new technologies that are out there, but wind turbines operate in Canada and Minnesota and colder areas. And I think there's going to be a lot of questions about what exactly occurred that caused the breakdown. Was it a physical breakdown because of the weather, or was it that pricing was too high and certain producers were unable or unwilling to pay that to satisfy their demand? All that matters right now is this: getting power back up. Weather's temperature's going up a little. It's in the mid-20s in Houston. It's not warm, but it's 20 degrees warmer than it was. Getting the temperatures up a little bit the next couple of days, making sure everybody is safe, making sure that power goes up, and then they're going to start to ask some of the harder questions to see exactly what happened.
Okay, let's get to our sound check. Here's a roundup of the day's biggest action and what the top newsmakers and business leaders had to say on CNBC's airwaves.
If Robinhood acted badly, I think they need to be held accountable and possibly pay a fine. But as for more regulations, I'm not ready to go in that direction yet.
The biggest thing in equities is really these tech firms and how high are you going to value these guys? They've got great technology, they've got great revenue, business models, the sky is the limit. So where investors want to value those is really driving a big chunk of the market. And that's just as tough an investment decision as there's ever been. So I'm not really sure we want to call that part bubble. That's just normal investing, trying to get your head around.
We're producing more than ever before as we come into the year. We're working in partnership with both public and private partners to get that product to where the needs are greatest, making sure that we continue to make progress. And we've been making progress on the logistics with those partners.
I'm suggesting that we start calling February month Black History, Black Futures, and let Black Americans talk about what they want to achieve in the future for their country and for their families, and let white Americans talk about what they're prepared to do and what they're willing to do or what they're doing to make the future brighter for Black Americans.
Over the long weekend, the richest man in the world invited one of the most powerful men in the world to have a conversation. On Saturday, Elon Musk tweeted at the official Kremlin account to ask Russian President Vladimir Putin to join him for a discussion on Clubhouse, the wildly popular live audio chat app founded last year. How popular? According to Apptopia, the app has been downloaded 6.6 million times to date, hitting a record high number of daily installs just yesterday. It's also become the home of choice for tech leaders like Musk, who himself has participated in a live discussion with Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev last month near the height of the GameStop trading frenzy. Musk has also tweeted that he's set to appear on Clubhouse again, this time with rapper Kanye West. So will Putin be on Clubhouse? Perhaps. The Kremlin called the proposal, quote, interesting, but said it needs more details. Regardless, the public invite itself speaks to the runaway success of Clubhouse and the live audio product that it offers. It's so good, in fact, the competition is coming. Twitter, Facebook, and billionaire Mark Cuban are all clamoring to get a piece of this new live audio market. Julia Boorstin can explain.
The social audio space is exploding. This relatively new app, Clubhouse, has been downloaded about 6.6 million times, and about 4 million of those downloads are just in the past month or so. Now, what's so interesting is yesterday we just saw the highest number of downloads for Clubhouse ever. And I think these numbers are even more impressive when you take into account that Clubhouse is by invitation only at this point. So there are a limited number of people who can actually use this app. Clubhouse is a very new popular app that has a new kind of social interaction. It is audio only. I'm calling this space social audio. There's a group of people who are having a conversation. People can join the room. There's a limit on the number of people who can participate. Right now, it's 5,000 people on Clubhouse, and you can raise your hand if you want to join the conversation. Everyone else is listening. So it's kind of like an interactive podcast. What's interesting about the success of Clubhouse is that they're not the only ones pushing into this social audio space. Twitter also has a similar feature called Spaces. That's something they introduced recently and are planning to roll out more broadly. Then you have Fireside. This is a Mark Cuban-backed app that's getting ready to launch. And Facebook is investigating doing something similar. But one thing's for sure, there is a lot of potential seen in this new social audio space. The idea of taking the interest in podcasts and taking it to the next level. Podcast advertising is expected to grow over 40% in 2021. This could be an even different kind of market, though, because if we're having big celebrities, familiar names, big VCs even participate like we've seen on Clubhouse, they're expected to be a different model than just advertising. There could be a subscription model, or we can see something more akin to tipping, like what Patreon has done. At the beginning of the pandemic, we saw a lot of interest in social video apps such as House Party. But what we're seeing now with this interest in social audio is that people like to listen while they're doing other things, while they're cooking dinner, while they're taking a walk. And that's the kind of format that you wouldn't really want to be participating with your camera on. You could also have many more people participate if it's audio and people are listening in rather than video.
Okay, let's get to today's numbers round. We'll kick it off with $500 million. A federal judge denied Citigroup's attempt to recoup $500 million it mistakenly paid to lenders of makeup company Revlon. Back in August, Citigroup went to make an interest payment of around $8 million, but accidentally sent around $893 million. Some lenders returned the money, but others refused. Citigroup sued to recover that $500 million, but lost the legal battle today when the judge ruled in favor of the 10 lenders and told them they could keep those funds. Next, 82% of restaurant operators say a federal minimum wage hike to $15 an hour would negatively impact their ability to recover from the fallout of the coronavirus pandemic. That's according to a new nationwide survey conducted by the National Restaurant Association. The wage increase measure is currently included in the $1.9 trillion COVID stimulus bill that the House of Representatives plans to send to the Senate. The same survey from the National Restaurant Association found that this wage hike and the elimination of a tip credit would force 98% of restaurants to raise their menu prices. And finally, 50,000. Bitcoin's unstoppable rally keeps going. Early this morning, prices surpassed $50,000 for the first time in history as more and more mainstream corporations support cryptocurrency. Last week, Tesla used $1.5 billion of corporate cash to add Bitcoin to its balance sheet. Additionally, MasterCard is planning to offer crypto support on its network later this year, and BNY Mellon announced it will add services for cryptocurrencies as well. Analysts point to this buy-in from the financial establishment as fuel for Bitcoin's nearly 70% gain in these first 6 weeks of 2021. Follow all of the latest developments in Bitcoin's blistering rally by going to CNBC.com and downloading the CNBC app. That's it for After Hours. We'll be back in our home office every Tuesday and Thursday, so be sure to catch us then.